FPL managers, it's Reedy here. Welcome back to the FPL Addicts Gameweek 16 podcast. Fantasy managers, welcome to the Game Week 16 FPL Addicts preview podcast, which is sponsored by Bonus Bank. If you're new around here, make sure you give our podcast or video some love with a like, as well as clicking that subscribe button. Can't get my words out today, so that's always a good start. But let's say good day to our panelists. We've got Chazza. All the way from Australia, as always, looking well in his shirt and his mullets. And then we have a special guest with Ryan from Football Chatbox. So I will go to Ryan first, if you don't mind, Chaz. I know you can wait a little bit, just because we've not had Ryan on. Oh, well, maybe it's the first time. I don't know. Yeah, Ryan's not in there. But how you doing, mate?
Not too bad. Thank you for asking. I'm delighted to be on. I've watched the show before and obviously had you guys as well on, but looking forward to being on the FPL Addicts show and also contributing.
Yeah, brilliant to have you on. And how are you getting on, Chazza?
Reedy, it's great to be back on the pod after the last couple of weeks. I'm very sorry and massive apologies for not being able to make it. Excited to dissect what has been a catastrophic game week 15.
I mean, yeah, it's been a bad one. Obviously, game week 13 was up there maybe, but this one's probably been a little bit underwhelming considering it's a midweek, fixtures and game week, and we get excited with all these back-to-backs, and then we kind of just get brought back down to earth quite quickly. But yeah, in terms of what we'll do, we'll review game week 15, have a look at the results and so on. A couple of games were played last night, obviously the last games of the game week, but some great games, I suppose, to kick off on the Tuesday. So we'll have a quick look at those, and I will just bring those up now. There we go. So we started off basically with Wolves and Burnley.
Let's go to Luton Arsenal.
Well, first, come on. I mean, there are some Hwang, He-Chan owners out there, and this he's getting overlooked in FPL. Surely, I mean, I know it's a 1-0.
For many weeks, he has.
I agree. We did speak about this when I was on Ryan's podcast actually with Mira. We did briefly mention that. I know it's not the most exciting game, and I mean, not many of us own assets from those teams, but I think it's probably fair to say that Wolves only beating Burnley 1-0 is a little bit meh, isn't it? You'd probably have expected, a bit more from them, right?
Who, me or like?
I'll go to you, Ryan. Yeah.
I guess so. But then again, it was such a Wolves do find it hard to score at times. Like that shooting boots aren't like there most of the time. They're like Everton, even though Everton has scored 3 this weekend. But in general, you look at Wolves and you go, creates a lot of chances, just can't finish it.
Yeah,
and that's basically
that's the perfect way to put it. To be fair, Ryan. But yeah, Chan did get his points. Wolves did keep a clean sheet also. If anybody managed to get their defenders, I mean, we all know that Craig Dawson is an absolute legend of a defender and also FPL asset. But going on, I know Chaz is chomping at the bit here to talk about the Luton Arsenal game, because go on, Chaz. Just
all right. So with this Wolves-Burnley game, just very briefly, 2 points. One, I felt Burnley probably deserved a goal out of this game. Their first half chances weren't too bad. And 2, why bother mentioning Craig Dawson? It isn't the 2016-17 season when he was a dominant centre-back at West Brom, okay?
He's back.
Yeah, he's somehow back. Okay. Luton Arsenal, vice baby. Who would have thought? And to be honest, I felt it was probably deserved to be a draw. Arsenal were very poor defensively, especially David Raya, and were rescued by what would be one of last few seconds of a header from Declan Rice. The goals were good, and a lot of credit to Arteta's side for getting back into the game, especially Kai Havertz. It's great to see the re-emergence of him. Not sure about as a fantasy asset as of yet, but as being a proper team player at that club, that's the most important sign.
Yeah, it's fair to say. I mean, I think Luton were really unlucky, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you're an Arsenal supporter, you're not going to care, and to win it in that sort of fashion, you're going into injury time. Looks like Luton have secured a point. They went ahead, of course, as well with that Ross Barkley goal and so on. So fair play, but interestingly, these Arsenal guys raising a few eyebrows in terms of interest, I suppose I should say, in Jesus, Martinelli, Odegaard for FPL. I know they've got tough fixtures coming up, but yeah, for that first Tuesday night set of fixtures, you couldn't have asked for more from that Luton Arsenal game. Unbelievable, especially from a neutral point of view. Anyway, so well done on you guys getting the 3 points. You stopped us from going top, Chazza, which is frustrating, but we move. Wednesday's fixtures, then I suppose there was
Wednesday first. Sorry, can we go to Brighton Brentford first up?
Of course, yeah. Go Chazza.
Let's go. Click on that, please. Now, Bumo got his goal. Now, were either of you Bumo owners on this game?
All three, right?
Yeah.
I'll just say briefly my short statement. I'll go straight to Ryan after what I say. So he got his goal and then he got injured. It's a bit of a Wario meme in terms of we've won, but at what cost? That's what it pretty much feels like. Matoma got an assist, and to be fair, it was actually a pretty good assist for Brighton's first goal of the game. Brentford looks an obvious sell, but for Matoma is an interesting one because we looked at the predicament, I think it would have been last week, in terms of do we get rid of Bowen or Matoma? And I felt those that held Matoma probably weren't the biggest winners out of that situation. Anyways, over to you, Ryan.
I guess at what cost did we win with Mbeumo? Depends, right? Because this is what we're kind of used to him. He's a player that will get in like small chunks, sell him, buy him back, and I think we're okay. We're happy to be with Mbeumo like this. I was really looking forward to the Sheffield United game in terms of owning him there, but it is what it is. To be honest, even when watching Brentford, I know he got his penalty, but even the previous game, Brentford didn't look that great. So I'm happy with the fact that he kind of got the points that he did, to be honest. I'll just take the points and run. Obviously, kind of had to take a hit or was forced into a hit because of all the injury problems. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Brighton, I owned Mitoma from game week 10 to like 13 or something. Was a very disappointing hold. And I think, yes, he got his assist, but I probably still wouldn't go to any Brighton assets until they've like injuries and everything are resolved. And that's a problem still with Brighton. Pascal Gross, though, always goes under the radar. Always ends up being Brighton's top midfield scorer. Maybe someone to look at because I think 2 game weeks ago, he got a 9-pointer as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he's kind of slowly ticking along. So if anyone really wants him, maybe he could go to him. But at the moment, with all the injuries for Brighton, I still would avoid.
Yeah, no, it's a fair shout. I mean, I think Brighton is so difficult other than maybe the likes of João Pedro, who'd have thought at the beginning of the season, everyone kind of went to him. He was so cheap and he was on penalties. That was the key factor. And now he seems to be kind of getting starts, even though it was, he starts in or plays in Europa and then, he'll miss the Premier League and might, feature for a few minutes. So Pascal Gross is someone that, as you say there, Ryan, seems to be consistently playing is one, doesn't really get injuries. He's played a number of positions for Brighton, but I think that the key thing is that he takes set pieces. And if he is playing further forward, he's much more of a valuable asset, because he's likely to get a return in that respect. So, yeah, it is a tough one with the fixtures coming up and the injuries, I suppose, is the main thing. Is he someone who's a priority to get in? Do you want to go for, get him in over Mbeumo? Yeah, it's a tough one. But we can always look at that in terms of when we look at most transfer players in and most transfer players out a little bit later. We can potentially discuss that one and see how much he is. But Palace, Bournemouth. I was expecting less goals than actually we got, and I wasn't expecting a Bournemouth win. And I was hoping that I'd get a clean sheet out of Gahey, but you know, what are clean sheets in FPL? What even are they this season, right? We won't suppose talk about it too much because in terms of FPL, the goal scorers weren't relevant, or even the assisters. None of us own those guys, I think. And yeah, Palace just showing that they're not the best this season in terms of, you know,
I think
especially at home as well. It's just a strange one. But yeah, Ryan, go on.
The loss of Doucouré is a kind of did impact, and we mentioned it before, so we were discussing on the pod in like 15 before 15. That does impact. Now Bournemouth, I know we don't have them, but like some people do have Solanke, which is still not a bad option. They have, after this game week, they have some good 3 fixtures for the next 3 at least. 17, 18 and 19 are brilliant fixtures. So if anyone really wants a player for that 3 game week period, it's not too bad. And also I think this was mentioned by FPL Inzaghi. Sensei, I think 4.3 million defender. Good fixtures. He scored the goal as well. Could be someone, if anyone is looking for an absolute budget defender, could be a decent option.
Yeah, 14 points he racked up. Got a goal, got his clean sheet, and you know, from a Bournemouth player, you'd be absolutely buzzing if you managed to start one of your Bournemouth defenders and get that from them. So yeah, great shout. Go Chazza. Anything on this game?
Unfortunately, not on this game, but just quickly on Fulham Nottingham Forest, please, if that's all right by you.
Go for it. Yeah, we'll move to that game anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go to that. Now, you wouldn't believe, first time, this is unheard of. Fulham have scored 11 goals in their last 3 games. Like, that is some attacking masterclass. And no one's talking about it.
Stuff. I mean, the Forest have looked really bad lately. And we probably thought more from an attacking point of view. They've not got a Wanyi. However, just defensively, even at home, they've been a little bit shaky lately, and we've thought they're better at home normally. Fulham, I mean, Raul Jimenez, the return of Raul, and Andreas Pereira. We had him last season. I think we all had him. He's really cheap. He's racked up some points in this game as well.
William too.
And William, I mean, 35 years old, and he's still managing to look as fresh as ever, and he's on penalties as well. So, they didn't get one in this game, but they've won 5-0. Iwobi making it look like a breeze in the park, getting 2 goals. And people are actually mentioning his name in FPL. I think Chazza, before we came on the pod, you might have mentioned his name as well. But 5-0 for Fulham at home. Absolute roasting of Forest. Up there with probably one of the best results of the game week, no doubtedly. Yeah. So
if you really want to go full on differential, the only player that is above 2% from that side is Bernd Leno, who's owned by under 15%.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to go full on differential, that is the team to go for. I think they have good fixtures too.
Yeah, we can have a look at the fixtures coming up, and also what their next game is, I suppose. But what do you think about that one, Ryan? Any players that get your attention?
People looking for emblem replacements, and if they want to go differential, both Iwobi and Willian are 5.3. And I think Willian is on penalties as well.
Yeah.
So pretty good alternative. And then again, if you want a budget striker, Raul Jimenez potentially, maybe, if anyone wants to try there. But I prefer the midfielders. But yeah, it's not a bad shout, to be honest. Good differentials. And I think we already mentioned Robinson as well from Fulham in defensive cover.
He's been good.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I will say is that if Nkunku isn't back, because there's been so many occasions in the presses and so on where it's like he's trained, he could feature, he's not then made the bench and so on. If he isn't back by 18, and if I do free hit, I am seriously going to consider Raul Jimenez with maybe like an Isak and a Watkins and so on. Robinson, I mean, he's not been mentioned by us in this case, but he did keep a clean sheet. I know we did mention him on your pod the other day, Ryan, and said about Robertson getting attacking returns. He didn't get one in this game, but at 4.4, he kept the clean sheet. He is on 4 yellows at the moment, though.
Yeah, that's the
so you have got to be careful on that one. Onto the Liverpool game, probably a bit of a not a score that we expected. I think we all expected a big scoreline and quite a few returns. And the returns that did come were probably not from the players that anyone has in FPL. I did have Szoboszlai at one point. I had him and kept him and brought him in on the wildcard, and then I got rid of him for Salah for the City fixture. So, yeah, 2-0. I'll go to you on this one, Ryan, first. What's your thoughts on this? Did you own anyone from...
I had Salah and Tsimikas. Tsimikas got benched. I think that was what we were worried about before the Liverpool game. We saw the predicted lineup. We're like, Tsimikas is starting potentially, but then he got benched, which was kind of expected. The Salah one, a bit annoying because like he had that good chance that he shot in front of goal that got saved, brilliant save. But apart from that, I'll be honest, I think Sheffield United were a bit unlucky. Probably should have drawn this game because they had chances. Now, does that mean that we have to look at Sheffield United in a different light, where because Chris Wilder is known for keeping his team defensive first, as in like very low, like proper defensive structure? So are they not going to get hammered anymore, like how they got hammered against Burnley 5-0? Because honestly, we were expecting a hammering, and then Wilder does Wilder things, and I didn't even think he would be in the dugout before this game as well. So we'll have to see how it goes for Sheffield going forward. But from a Liverpool point of view, I'm still happy to own the Liverpool assets because they're still one of the best attacking teams in the league. So going forward, I'm not too worried. Darwin came on, got an assist, managed to outscore Haaland and Watkins. So yeah, I'm not too worried about Liverpool assets. Trent is someone I guess we can talk about, but just can't afford. Too expensive.
Yeah. Some good points there, Ryan. And what about yourself, Chazza? What's your thoughts on this one?
I won't say much. I watched this game in such angst and frustration, mainly because Sheffield United should have been up 1-0 within the first 5 minutes. But secondly, it wasn't Mo Salah missed his chances. It's more he was unlucky, and I'm more agreeing with a fact in what Ryan just said. But I feel we're missing the trick for majority of us managers with Liverpool defenders, especially Alexander-Arnold. I know he's getting to more managers are getting to his services now, but throughout this entire campaign, despite Arsenal being dominant, all going to them, Man City going on and off, Aston Villa had a good run, especially with Matty Cash. I don't feel we're paying enough attention to Liverpool defenders than we really should. I actually think they're pretty good defensively.
Yeah, some good points and some different points from you there, Chaz. I think firstly, they were lucky to not go 1-0 down. Joe Gomez, as you said there, came in for Tsimikas, Ryan, and he played terribly, had such a poor game, and should have gifted Sheffield United a goal. I mean, Kelleher's in there, so when you were saying about we should maybe be looking at more defensive assets from Liverpool, Chazza, I did look at Van Dijk as a potential option, but he is 6'1", I think, maybe now, which does seem really high for him. He's not always going to be able to score goals as easy as he did from the Trent assist. And yeah, I mean, the Darwin one, bit of a strange one, because owners, who had him, who started him, obviously he got benched, he come on, and he didn't look like he was going to get anything from the game. He even got a yellow card, actually, when he came on. And then, pops up with the assist at the end for Szoboszlai. So the Trent thing, really interesting, because I think he's hauled and he's got about 40 points maybe over the last 4 game
47 weeks. From the last 6 game weeks, yeah.
There we go, even more. So, it is really intriguing, and we want to go there. We've got Palace, and then it gets a bit tough. So I think if you can get there, I don't feel like now is actually the time to do it. It would have been a couple of game weeks ago at least, with those fixtures that we had. But yeah, not to dwell too much. And one other thing was we all pretty much captained Salah and he blanked. Got brought off, which I think we were all really surprised about, which is a bit frustrating, right, in such a low-scoring game week. But moving on to Aston Villa City now.
Go Villa.
I know you want this one first, Chaz, so I'll go to you on this. What's your thoughts on this game, my man?
Firstly, it's a lot about the 2008/09 season when Arshavin scored 4 at Anfield. Villa being dominant and finally in the Champions League positions. I didn't watch much of this game only because with our broadcast, I'm sure Ryan would agree, is that they wanted to show the Man United-Chelsea game, which if Optus Sport, if you're watching this, you are an absolute disgrace. Why don't you put on 4th Villa against 3rd place Man City instead of two sides, that have been underperforming for the last 10 years. You are a disgrace. Anyways, back to the actual game itself. Villa 100% deserved to win this. They outplayed City from start to finish. And I've not seen City get so annihilated all in one game ever since Pep Guardiola has been their manager. I should have lost by a lot more.
Yeah, some very good points, and as especially about Optus Sport there, Chaz. I love that one. But yeah, what's your thoughts on this one, Ryan? I mean, I think as a United fan, me being a Liverpool fan, I enjoyed that. And were you surprised by that result, or we spoke about the Rodri absence, we spoke about City missing some players the other day. Now, what do you think about that one?
So I did watch this game alongside the United game. Honestly, the only surprising thing for me would be the fact that City had like 0 XG after the 11th minute and only 2 shots to Villa's 22 shots, which is insane. They were literally played out of the park. City had no answer. But we've come to expect this from Villa. We've spoken about it before. Like a lot of people keep saying it. Villa are monsters at home. And I know Arsenal are going to go there, and we'll probably talk about it. But Villa they should be right now even in contention for top 4, and maybe if they continue this form, potentially even title. If depends on how Unai Emery goes to it. But really good performance. Obviously, they kept a clean sheet, but I don't really think they'll continue to keep clean sheets like this. Their defense is just like City in terms of they tend to concede in unnecessary moments. So I won't be surprised if they concede again. If you own Matty Cash and Diaby, though, that's a talking point in terms of what do you do with them? Do you sell them? Do you keep them? City, I'm not worried. Rodri will be back next game. Grealish will be back next game. I think when we talk about captaincy, we'll see where the favorite most likely lands as well. So I'm not worried about City. But yeah, without Rodri, they're a different team.
Yeah. It was huge, but I think that Villa's and what the main thing I took from the game, which I watched as well, is that Villa's energy was unmatched. I mean, they were on the front foot. They were beating City to all the balls. They were, defensively looked really solid. I mean, Pau Torres has been a little bit hit and miss in some of the Villa games, but he was excellent last night. And I think another one who I know you guys will know about this player from an FPL point of view. I don't know if you've owned him, but Luca Digne has actually been pretty decent for Villa this season or lately. So, yeah, that absence of Rodri and the missing Doku and Haaland not really being given a sniff, to be honest with you, just goes to show that City can be there to, or are there to be got at. So it was a great game, absolutely great game for the neutral. And yeah, I mean, City getting points taken off them now. They've dropped down in the table behind the mighty Arsenal and Liverpool. So yeah, great result for Villa. They're up there. Whether they can win the league, big statement that, Ryan. But if he keeps going, then listen, at some point you've got to believe as players. So or at least Champions League for sure. Emery could end up pulling off a masterclass. So
quick. Yeah, shout out to I think was it McGinn who benched Haaland and benched Akanji in his FPL team. Yeah. I mean, that's the confidence they have.
John McGinn's just, a few weeks back, I think Jack, off the pod, Jack Gillibrand brought in John McGinn, maybe even on the wildcard. We all, Chaz is laughing. We all laughed. We all said, "What are you doing having McGinn and this, that, and the other?" We told him, get rid. And what did he do? He decided to pop up with some points over the next 2 fixtures or something. And last night, he was excellent. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's other players who we see and they look like athletes. You can tell, the nutrition, the training, all the rest of it. And we look at John McGinn and we go, well, no, he doesn't look the best sort of players to look at. But what he does in terms of football, and, he's almost like on par with, maybe not the goals, but Scott McTominay at the minute. We don't expect it, but it kind of happens. And speaking of Scott McTominay, onto that game, Man United, Chelsea. I know you're not, sort of big fan of both of these teams at the minute, Chazza, but I'll go to you first on this, just so you can get any stuff out the way that's on your chest. What's your thoughts on this result?
Okay, in this game, I watched the majority of it. I felt Chelsea's defending was horrific, but when they were on the counter-attack, I genuinely felt they were okay. With Man United, I felt they made the most of their opportunities, and it was a sort of game in which Scott McTominay should be playing up front as striker.
Wow. Wow. I wasn't expecting that one. I mean, yeah, I won't say too much, but yeah, there's some fair points. I mean, I think Chelsea a little bit shaky at the back. Sanchez made some great saves, but yeah, Ryan, as a United fan, I'm sure you were pleased with the result, but how do you think about the performance?
So first with the Scott McTominay, I guess he is the leading club scorer, so he knows how to find the back of the net. So I'm not going to disagree with that point. But I thought this was like you can call it a basketball game, you can call it a tennis match, whatever you want, but that's basically how it was, just end to end. And I was talking with my football chat box panel guys, and we were like, I don't know which team is more shit at this point. Whether it's United or Chelsea, because they were so bad, both of them defensively, like so many chances. I think if this was a better attacking team, if either team was playing a better attacking team, they would have been put to the sword. And like if Liverpool were playing any one of these teams, it would have been a big score, is what I'm thinking. Now, from an FPL point of view, one thing I guess is I watched this and I was first initially looking at this Chelsea upcoming run. I'm like, oh, great fixtures. I love their defense. Let's go and get some of their defenders. And now I'm like, yeah, United created 4+ XG. Do I really want to go to Chelsea's defense right now? I don't know. I'm not as confident as what I was before this game. Palmer still kind of probably the best Chelsea asset to go for right now. McTominay, the problem with McTominay is like, I don't like him in midfield. He just offers nothing. And I keep saying, like in our group chats, I'm like, I wish McTominay gets subbed, or one, you can play him in striker because he just doesn't offer anything. But he got his goals, so I can't complain too much. But he, in midfield, doesn't offer as much. The one thing I noticed is the front three really pressed Chelsea's backline, and Sanchez got pressed as well. And he did make a few mistakes. So I don't know. We'll see whether teams about to play Chelsea, whether they'll do the same thing. Everton, you never know. Maybe they could also do the same thing against Chelsea.
Yeah, some interesting talking points there in terms of McTominay, who we've all mentioned. He is better playing advanced. I mean, whether he has a set position, because obviously Bruno plays behind the striker, so that makes it hard for McTominay to start there. But whether he has more of a free role and to be able to the license to get into the box, because that's where he scored a lot of his goals lately, from being in that 6-yard box or getting on the end of with the headers and so on. It is interesting to see what Ten Hag will be doing with him, because it's crazy to say that he has been one of United's best players recently and lately. And I think a while back when United had all their first team players available, your Anthony's and Bruno's, Rashford obviously not playing as well, but yeah, he wouldn't get a sniff, he wouldn't get a look into that side. But at the moment, he deserves it based on merit and what he's doing. So yeah, interesting one on that. And yeah, defensively, Chelsea just I know Sanchez got his save and he got his bonus, so he still ended up with a pretty good score. And I know you mentioned about bringing him in as well, but it doesn't bode well looking forward, and especially Everton putting 3 past Newcastle, which we'll just mention in a sec. It doesn't feel great to kind of look at Chelsea defense at the minute. But yeah, United got another win, 2-1 against Chelsea, 3 points on the board. But yeah, on to the next one, Everton v Newcastle. Were we surprised by this one, Chazza?
All I'm going to say is one thing, and not particularly. Gordon, what score? Gordon, what score? That's all I'm going to say.
That's it. Oh, okay, nice and quick. And Ryan, 3-0 Everton.
With the Gordon versus, I've had Gordon since game week 10. I'm getting those points. I don't mind.
I think Chaz has had him as well, actually, funnily enough.
Yeah, I have. Well, I don't want to mention it. This podcast isn't about me.
Yeah. No, in home he's good. Away it's a different story. Maybe you rotate him with Jared Bowen, because Bowen does good away and Gordon does good at home. So maybe that's the thing you need to do. But Newcastle, Okay, was I surprised? Yes, with the scoreline 3-0, and the fact that Trippier was the culprit for both the opening goals doesn't seem great as well. When it was 0-0, I wasn't surprised because I kind of was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense because Newcastle are still they're not great away. Their record isn't as great, and still one clean sheet away from home all season, which doesn't really bode too well. I don't know if this is just down to lack of depth now because of all the injuries and also unable to rotate, and the squad is just getting tired. I don't know. We'll have to see. Trippier is still on 4 yellows, so that's also something to kind of note out for people who still looking to buy Trippier. But they're still a good team, Newcastle. And I think what we know from Everton is that Everton are still a good team as well, even though with the 10-point deduction and whatnot, they'll still cause problems for everyone.
Yeah. I think it's that sort of classic scenario of a team that have played a lot of games lately and have had a lot of injuries, and they're still playing that same 11, who are playing a lot of minutes as well. And then a team who are fighting for survival, been given a deduction. They weren't great against United the other week and got beat convincingly, but they've turned it around against Newcastle and won 3-0. So, yeah, interesting one with Trippier. He's on his yellows and so on, but yeah, 2 poor defensive mistakes. You don't expect that normally from him. Do you go for him anyway with him having Spurs up next? I mean, yeah, if you've got him, you probably play him. That's what I would say. But they do have an easier fixture. I think, is it in 17? They've got
after that they have easy ones.
Fulham at home, and even in 18 they've got a good fixture. So well done Everton is all I can say. Fair play to them. And the last game of the game week, Spurs v West Ham. I mean, I didn't expect this result. I fell asleep and woke up and saw West Ham had won. I thought, am I seeing things here? But yes, Chazza, are we thinking this is the Ange ball is no more, or what? What do we think?
It's like our son woke up in the morning and West Ham did it. They come from behind 1 goal down and then they scored 2 and did it. Yeah, there you go. Bowen, Ward-Prowse, spectacular. And that's a 4th game in a row in which in the league Spurs have scored first and then have still lost. I'd love to have a good analysis on these last 4 games because they attack intently pretty damn well, Spurs, just not making the most of their chances. And then as soon as they drop off, the opposition score one, they drop their heads. So I think Ange ball, down.
Wow, yeah. And yourself, Ryan?
Glad I kept Bowen. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And he survives for another week in my team. It's another away game, I think, for West Ham. So hopefully he continues his his away record. With Spurs, I think I agree with what Chaza says. They don't take the chances. The first half they had so many chances. They should have put it the game should have been put to end, but they don't take the chances. West Ham get back in it, and I don't know what David Moyes says at halftime, but they come out as a different team, and then it's just West Ham for the rest of the half, from what I was watching. So, I guess happy with West Ham. Now, obviously, I was left with no keeper this game week, so people who have Areola and Turner, I don't know. What's the plan there? Wrist injury, minor injury. I don't know whether he's going to be fit for the upcoming game week. We'll see. But yeah, from Spurs, Son injury potentially as well, which we may speak about. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll go into that, go into the Son injury and stuff. But Spurs, strange one. Really dominant first half. Looked like they were going to breeze past West Ham and get the 3 points. But Jared Bowen had other things to say. And his record away has been brilliant. He's someone who was considering actually selling at some point, but Mr. Consistent, I suppose, with these points again. The keeper situation, just to mention that, I mean, it's really unlucky on that one. People who went with Areola and Turner, especially if you're wildcarded, because they were the cheapest guys. Who'd have known that, or who'd have thought that Areola gets a wrist injury and Turner's basically just not first choice anymore for Forest. So, yeah, whether people need to evaluate that, and people who didn't go Dubravka, for example, I know that didn't pan out last night, and work for that move. People who went for him, but it could be something that people consider moving forward with Newcastle's fixtures becoming good, as we said. Yeah, Spurs, Son injury. We will talk about that at some point. Pedro Porro still racking up well, I say racking up. It's not really that, but getting some points on the board. He did get his yellow card in concede too. But he does feel like one of those defenders that we can still maybe go to in FPL. Chaz has got his finger up, which, can mean one or two things, but I think he wants to speak.
You said something before the pod to not interrupt as much as possible, so that's what I'm doing. Porro's scoreline from last night reminds me a lot of basketball references, just hitting a three, and that's all he did. Nothing too crazy. Yeah,
nothing crazy. I think owners at the beginning of the game, when he got his assist from that corner, were thinking, right, if we get a clean sheet and maybe something else on top of that, it's going to be a haul. But yeah, West Ham got the win, which
he just turned into the biggest loser very quickly, really. That's what happened.
He did indeed. I know you'll enjoy that being an Arsenal fan, Chazza.
I thought you were talking about the television program.
Oh, I thought you meant Spurs, but or Porro, but yeah, that's the review of game week 15. Some decent results in there, but obviously FPL wise, we'll dive into that now and see what the situation is on the scores of our mini league, Chazza. So
yeah,
I'll go to the podcast league. We won't spend too much dwelling on this one. We'll have a look at the public league and the women's league as well. But I will start with Mr. Jack Gillibrand and have a look at how many points he got. So Jack got 32 this week. He was stung by the Turner and Areola blanks, or injury and not starting. So he ended up with no points from a keeper point of view. Defenders, Taylor, Zinchenko, Mitchell, all 1-pointers. And then really the people that saved, I don't want to say saved his game week, but it was Chan that got the points for him really this week. Salah blanked, Cunha got the assist for the Chan goal, and that is it really. City 2-2 for their strikers and so on, and he did bench Jared Bowen.
Why did he bench Bowen? Honestly, Tottenham is so open to conceding.
Yeah. So a strange one, but he did
watching this pod, to be honest with you.
he might be, but he did bring Taylor in. Funnily enough, he brought Taylor in for Tomiyasu, with Tomiyasu being injured. So that was an interesting one because, he played Taylor for Burnley against...
Oh, no. Taylor got subbed in. He
got brought in. Sorry. Yes, apologies. Automatic subs. Well, attention to detail, right? I like it. So, yeah, I mean, he got Taylor in for Tomiyasu automatically, but one transfer made, and that was Cunha, who he brought in. 32 points all out. Let's go to the next person. We will go to yourself, Chazza. 29 points, mate. Talk me through it.
Woo! How good. Boomo scores, injured. Matoma doesn't show up. I'm getting assists for a laugh. That's what he does. Outside of that, that's about it for this game week. Let's move on. Gosh. No, that's about it.
Fair
play.
It was
horrid. Absolute horrid. There was an auto sub too. Simicast didn't play, so Taylor came on.
Yeah, exactly.
One free transfer, 5 flags. How good.
Oh, God. We'll go into that a bit later then. So 29 points on the board. I'll go to Elliot next, who got the same as Jack, 32. He did bring in Dubravka and had him.
I'm convinced Elliot is just backing the Saudi Arabia government because he's just backing too many Newcastle players. That's what's happening.
Quite possibly, Chazza, quite possibly. But yeah, same story again. I think from a defender point of view, I think it's going to be the same story for all of us for defenders this week. And Gahey, Trippier, Simicast. He actually got no auto sub for Simicast because Lamptey was injured and Cash didn't play.
Why is he put in?
so he just ended up with Simicast, who didn't play. I tell you what, though, fair play to Elliot. Getting what he's got Ward-Prowse and got himself an 8-pointer against Spurs. 3 bonus, I think, as well. So fantastic one on that one. That got him his 32, kind of saved him in the Mbumo return. And then we will go to Mikey. 28 points. There or thereabouts, as most of us. Mbumo, Salaka, everything else just a bit yeah, just a bit meh.
What about his bench though? That's pretty good. No, go back to his bench just super quickly.
Oh,
Palmer 8, Braithwaite 6, Powell 6. Yeah.
See, I was going to save Mikey a blast in there, but Jazza.
Oh no, I wasn't.
Pulled it out the fire, and it was just like, wait a minute. Let's check Mikey's bench out. I mean, you've got a fair point, Jazza. The decisions he's made though, they're the right ones. No, maybe Palmer. You'd say he
Palmer should
started
have gone on field. Yeah.
Maybe Palmer over Alvarez. That's all. Oh, no, Palmer over Darwin, because we got news about Darwin being potentially benched.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, I'd agree with, either or really. Both got
Yeah.
similar points anyway, but I think the Darwin ahead of the Alvarez one. The funny thing about this is Mikey actually, I think he started Palmer last week and bench Gordon. I think he's basically ended up doing it the other way around. So he's hating that sort of conundrum at the minute. But 28 points for Mikey. And last but not least, Ollie, who...
What a masterclass.
Is Palmer again on the bench. He's playing 5 at the back.
Did he get a single return in his team or not? I don't think he did.
Wait, he has Palmer and he played 5 at the back?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Sorry, Ollie.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I don't really know what's going on with Ollie at the minute.
What's he doing? I love him, but what's he doing?
He's going big at the back and he's benching Palmer. So you're right though, Chadder. No return from anyone because Salah doesn't count.
That's hilarious.
It is some achievement to have no player return at all. It's unlucky.
You got less than the normal appearance points. You usually get 22 points for appearance.
Yeah. And last but not least, myself, 43. I'm happy with
where the governor is. Good midfield.
Yeah, I mean, Leno finally a clean sheet. Oh, hallelujah. No Areola. Got 6 points. I mean, wasn't going to get bonus because obviously, Fulham scored 5. But I'm happy with 6. The defense shambles. Kabore in for Simicast. Cash didn't play. Kabore got no points because basically it was a 4-3 with Arsenal. And Bowen. Oh, Jared Bowen kind of taking me up there above 40. No hit this week, Chazza. I rolled the transfer. I managed to stay brave.
Wow.
Captain, underwhelming again. And yeah, that. I mean, if you look at that, my midfield has pretty much done the business. It's pretty much the midfield, apart from the captain shout. So yeah, we move and I get a green arrow on to the Public League. We'll just have a quick look at that one. And we've still got Stephen Smalley sat at the top. What a guy. I mean, 32 points, solid enough in a game week like this. The average was 35, so just under from Stephen. But yeah, similar in terms of midfield. You had Bumo, Bowen, Saka, Salah. So yeah, and then we've got Morgan Thrillfall there, 33. Top 2 still doing all right. Similar team in a sense. Porro got 5 points actually, Chazza. I thought he only got about 3. And then we've still got our Brad. I'm not going to try and say his second name because I will do it a massive injustice. But 41 points, similar to mine, and doing okay. Captain
Virgil van Dijk, big get.
Huge, yeah. Van Dijk, I was just mentioning him, and 14 points. Son captain, which is a bit different to most people. And yeah, so that's the Public League at the minute. They're our top guys, 954. Where's Stephen at the minute? He's 7K or nearly 8K, which is, pretty good going, isn't it, this season?
Ready? Do you want me to show Women's League?
I'll show it, mate. I'm ready. I'm going to add it to the stage right there, Chazza. Go on. You do the business, move about, do what you need to do.
Sure. Well, okay, here we go. So we have Joyce Smith in first place at the moment, 34 points. Braithwaite in defence with a clean sheet. That is crazy good. Bumo goal. And honestly, outside of that, nothing special. Onana in goal. Very intelligent, that is. The Haaland Shake. Now, I love this name so much, yeah? Leno clean sheet. Andreas, 15 points.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You're going to make your own luck, haven't you, in this season? And that's a great call, yeah.
That's a smashing call. Palmer bench. So, could have done better, but not on this occasion, sadly.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got the top 3 at the minute.
Very tight, actually. In fact, we've got the top 7
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. Top 3.
50 points. This is intriguing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Trent got the 12. Martinelli, Saka, and Mbeumo. That's actually not bad. And Porro got the assist there. That's pretty good.
That's a cracking score. 50 points. I mean, 15 above the average. That's amazing. Yeah, it
is. All right, that's it from the Women's League. But it's pretty tight.
Fair play. So yeah, on to the next few things. I mean, I always do this at this point. I always give a quick shout out to basically our sponsor Bonus Bank, who are back for this season again. Basically, the Australia, New Zealand's best side hustle, where you can make a guaranteed profit from bookmakers by taking advantage of the promotions. Bonus Bank, easy to learn tutorials and software that does the hard work for you. And it's free to sign up, but you can also upgrade to a premium membership if you want to as well. And it gives you access to more tools and more software to increase your profits. You can use a code that I'll put down in the caption below. I'll put the link to that. And basically, jump on there. So on to the preview for Game Week 16. I think we've had enough of 15, right? And all the low scores, all the injuries. I mean, I know there's more injuries to come, of course. And, what would FPL be without that? But the preview for Game Week 16. Now, we'll talk about the fixtures first and foremost. So I'll get those up on the screen. We won't spend too long on the actual fixtures because I suppose we want to talk more about the FPL assets, FPL players, if anything. So I'll just bring that up. And there we have it. We have Game Week 16 coming up. What are the standout fixtures that you see there, Ryan? What do you think?
So Spurs versus Newcastle from an FPL point of view and also Premier League point of view, big game. Then Arsenal versus Aston Villa, another FPL and Premier League point of view in terms of that as a big game. And then I guess from another FPL, probably the Everton-Chelsea game, I would say. Just because I want to see how Chelsea react to, I guess, similar type of opposition they're about to face for the next couple of game weeks. Whether they can actually keep a tight defense. Will we see Nkunku? So many questions to be asked.
Yeah. I think, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned the Man City. And did you mention City and Liverpool?
No, I didn't mention City because I was like, FPL point of view, people have Haaland, but I don't know. Like, there is a potential of people like getting City players and benching them for 18 now that Mbeumo is injured. But I don't know if it's, not as, maybe in Chazza's captain's corner, but yeah.
Yeah, but the fixtures you have mentioned are, as you say, on paper, Spurs, Newcastle, Everton, Chelsea. These sort of fixtures, the Villa, Arsenal, even though they are the standout fixtures, if you like. But go ahead, Chazza, give your opinion on this one, bud.
Okay, so just before I get to the fixtures, I love how you asked Brian, which fixture stands out to you, and then he just named half the fixtures.
I just named 3.
He only went with 3. I was going to say.
Mate, he went with 4. He went Villa, Arsenal. He went Spurs, Newcastle.
Everton, Chelsea.
He went Luton, Man City. Then he went Everton, Chelsea.
No, I didn't go Luton, Man City. That was Chris.
Come on, Chazza, wake up, will you?
No.
God. Go on, sleep again. Go on.
I'll go Palace. No, I won't. I'll go Brighton, Burnley, actually. I want to see if Brighton can keep a clean sheet because they've not done so all season. And I know Burnley love to score.
Yeah. Okay.
Any game from the time as well.
Any other big games that that stand out?
Well, actually, you know what's intriguing about this Brighton game? I want to see how much De Zerbi rotates his own squad and whether Mitoma gets affected by it because it seems he has been affected by it in recent times. He likes to go for Adingra and then Buonanotte in the starting lineup too. So whoever comes into Brighton, they just seem to flourish. And we seem to get a new Brighton player that scores every single week.
Yeah. Any other fixtures, Chazza, apart from Brighton?
Okay, no worries. So if you want me to carry on naming it, I want to see if Steve Cooper gets sacked after the Wolves Nottingham Forest game. That's a big game, especially for He-Chan and Matheus Cunha, who's actually been a good pick this season. He has not been mentioned a lot, but he's a cracking shout.
Yeah. And give us one more. Go on.
Go on. Let's
half the fixture list.
yeah, give me one more. I'm going to go for Fulham West Ham, actually, because Fulham, they've been a bit of a standouts. All of them owned by less than 2%. Then you have West Ham by Joe Bowen, Kudus, who looks really good, Ward-Prowse back on the score sheet, and that would be my third and final fixture done for being matched.
Wow. Ryan went with the, staple fixtures, the big ones, the ones that are on TV, and Chaz has gone for your Brightons and your Fulhams and, your Wolves, Forest. Fair play to you, though, mate, because they're all actually relevant because people do have FPL players from them teams. But yeah, I have to go with the Spurs, Newcastle even a huge game considering.
Sorry, Reddy. I thought you were going to go with Sheffield United, Brentford for a moment.
I was tempted, Chaz. I'm not going to lie. I was really tempted, but then I just thought Bumo's out now. We'll save that till in a minute. But yeah, for me, Spurs, Newcastle, they both just lost. Both going for top 4. Huge. Our Sunday games, our last game of the game week has normally been a cracker, hasn't it? For us, we've been getting treated with that one. But Villa, Arsenal as well. Villa just beating City. Arsenal, top of the league, Chazza. Come on, you must be hoping that you guys managed to get a win on that one. It's going to be a tough game with it being away.
I think we were the last team to win at Villa Park in February early this year, which was a 4-2 win, 2 goals in injury time. And it's just a shame I can't watch this because I got the second race of my triathlon series. So it'd be great to watch it when I get back home later that day. Yeah, but I'm very scared, shiver me timbers.
Yeah, it is. It is a shame that you can't watch it, Chazza, but it wasn't a shame for Gabriel Martinelli when he did get that goal in injury time last year because I did own him. So yeah, Martinelli got his goal. We spoke about Arsenal assets and them all being back together, and I think it possibly might have been. I might be wrong on this. Maybe it was a mistake from Luton. I'm not sure for Martinelli's goal. If not, he's got points regardless. But yeah, some cracking fixtures to come. I think. Ryan, you mentioned Everton, Chelsea. Chelsea defense v the Everton attack at the minute. Good luck on the try, Chazza. Hello, lads, from Ollie. Brilliant, love it. So some great fixtures. Now, what I will do before we go into the most sold, most bought, and a few of the other things we were going to chat about today, just want to go through the comments because we've got a few people in the chat. Miriam is in here. Hello, Miriam. Hope you're good. We've got Colm. Absolute legend. Hello. And Peterson's in here as well. Pete's in, lads. I don't know if he's still watching, but hello to Sidnet if you're still here, mate. And then we've got a couple of questions. A couple of things people want to ask. So the first one was from Colm, actually. Have money in the bank. So I was looking at Mbumo and Decore / Diaby to Son and Palmer, but his kick in the back is a bit worrying. I'm not worried about the Asian Cup as I'm looking at World Cup in Game Week 19. World Cup even? Wild card. What am I talking about? We haven't got a World Cup this year, have we? But wild card in Game Week 19. Sorry about that, Colin. Yeah, boys, any thoughts on this? Take it away, either of you, really. I think Ryan's about to say something, so we'll go.
It's a similar move that I'm also thinking about in terms of... So I've already got Palmer in for Boomer. I don't have, it's not Ducre Diaby, but I have Bowen. And I was thinking of getting Heung-min Son in for Game Week 17. Now, the kick in the back is a bit of a worry, but since I'm not looking to get him for Game Week 16, because they're playing Newcastle still, I can kind of wait and see what happens with that move. And the reason I was thinking Game Week 17 was because West Ham's fixture run turns after that specific, around that week. So yeah, the 4 fixtures after that are pretty good for him. So I'm happy to own Son for those 4 fixtures. And if he's still not injured, if nothing happens in Game Week 16, he's fine. He could be a captaincy consideration for 18 as well.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I think the fact that Colm's looking at wildcard in 19, he's still got his wildcard, right?
Yeah.
We don't get the second one until, was it 21 or 20? Can't remember which one it was.
Basically the start of the new year.
Start of the new year, right? Okay, yeah. So start of the new year is basically game week. It would be 20. Yeah, game week 20. You've got the end of December, the Saturday fixtures, and then Sunday 31st, and then it goes to the New Year's Day and 2nd of Jan.
So maybe 21 technically, because you could still probably play a wildcard in 20. Kind of.
Yeah. but 19 wildcard columns thinking of. But I mean, those transfers, depending on the Son injury, look okay. There is another question from FPL Boo Boo, I want to say, even though it's not double O. Chaz, I was going to go. Were you going to talk about the column question or
not particularly? Only because I'd like to apologise for facing sideways for the last couple of minutes. Only because there's two cats having a fight outside my house. Well, let's get straight to this question, yeah. And it's involving one of mine. So I hope she's all right, but I can't be bothered checking because she's very unintelligent.
She'll be dead, but it's okay.
Yeah, I would. In this instance, I'd actually bench Palmer only because, one, there's a chance of him being rotated due to the short turnaround. Number two, he's going to Goodison. Gordon against the Spurs side that love to concede. I think he'll flourish in that. Watkins at home to Arsenal. He has a very good track record against Arsenal. So I'm going to bench Palmer.
Yeah. I mean, just to let you know, Chaz, that Newcastle went to Goodison last night. They go into Tottenham Stadium this weekend. But I could see where the crossover was there. Your mind was, thinking of stadiums.
Sorry, did I say Gordon going to Goodison?
You did indeed, but it's okay.
Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Gordon going to Hotspur Stadium. Thank you for picking that up for me.
It's all right. We can't get those two stadiums mixed up. I mean, there's some difference, right? Come on.
Yeah, one is old, great atmosphere, and the other's a toilet seat.
There we go. Exactly.
Which we'll never answer.
Yeah. Here's a comment from Peterson after Ryan said about the shit defenses of United and Chelsea. Another question was Bowen in for Mbeumo or Mbembo in this case. But yeah, so what do we think?
I think, okay, sorry to interrupt once again.
Oh, sorry, go on.
If you go Palmer and you're able to afford a premium defender, I would go down that path. But if you feel that you've got enough in terms of stock down back, I actually think Bowen is the best option out of the four because it's a bit of a spread in terms of transfers in. Mm-hmm. You have Palmer, who's got 210,000 owners in, Hechan 10k less than that, Gordon 128k, Bowen 116k, and Alexander-Arnold thought copying Bowen's transfer homework would be a good idea. He also has 116,000 new owners coming in.
Okay.
So Bowen, yeah, good option.
So it'll be Bowen. So I'll just check if we've got any other questions before we move on. I'm just having a look through. So there was one. I saw one for Raul. Was that? Is he the Raul deal now? No, it wasn't. So it wasn't a question. It was more about Raul Jimenez and him looking decent in a minute. So which team you face in the second round FPL Cup? I'm not sure on that one or who that.
Sure. I just want to go back to Fulham slowly, okay? Because I'm somewhat a big fan of Fulham all of a sudden.
You are.
Okay? I wear white shirts most days of the week. But Raul Jimenez, I think ever since he's got that first goal in 18 months in the league, I think his confidence is back. And I love that cheeky backfield as well. So he's just been a bit flirtatious with his finishing at the minute. And that's what I like. A bit of pizzazz.
A bit of pizzazz indeed on the old salad, mate. But the one thing I will say is that I think there were big shoes to fill for Jimenez when Mitrovic was obviously there. He was their, main guy up front. And I would say that out of all the teams in the Premier League, I think that was the team that would suit him the most. A player who we've known in the past before his big injury was there with headers, similar to Mitrovic. He'd score quite a lot of goals with his head. And it feels like he's kind of not been able to come out of his shell, whether that injury's affected him and whether he's just not had the confidence to do something. But, fair play. He's got a few goals lately, and hopefully we do see some of the old Raul Jimenez because at one point he was a fantastic pick in FPL as well. So yeah, I think we're done with the questions for now. If you guys have got any more questions, just put them in the comments. Any dilemmas for the weekend, let us know. However, we will have a look at the most sold FPL players so far before Game Week 16. Now, I'll bring this page up. We can discuss basically the most sold and the most bought, but we will go with the one on the right first, which is Brian Mbeumo, Nick Pope, Cash, Doku, Anderson. Pretty obvious, right? If, a lot of people own Mbeumo. But yeah, what would you say on this one, Ryan?
I guess the Mbeumo one is kind of expected because we got comments that he's going to be missing this game week, and then he has the blank in 18, and also Thomas Frank said potentially more weeks as well, so kind of rules him out completely. Pope, again, another standard, kind of like obvious one. Cash, this is where we're like wondering, some people still have Cash and not sure what to do with him. Do you keep him till 18? I probably will sell. Doku also injury. Anderson, Palace's fixtures are over, so just kind of like obvious ones.
Yeah. They are obvious ones, and I think a couple of us, or maybe all of us, own Mbeumo. So it looks like he is going to be a transfer out this week. He blanks in 18 anyway. We spoke about him potentially having a double, but we don't know the extent of this injury, how long it might even keep him out as it is. And Matty Cash. I mean, the Pope one is probably because of Dubravka, right, as well. People have, whether they own Pope or whether they don't, whatever it is. But Matty Cash, not even injured. I mean, 3 out of these 5 players are injured, and Matty Cash is still one of the most sold, just because, Unai Emery does not like playing him, does he? Konza seems to have that place nailed at the minute. Let's move on to the most bought. Chazza, what's your thoughts on this one? I mean, Palmer, just people keep buying him, right? He keeps going up in price. Justified?
I think it's with Chelsea's next 6 fixtures all being rated as the 2 on the FDR, which makes sense, and his price tag especially.
Yeah.
Sterling's got a bit of attention, but not as much, understandably so. Hechan's a funny one because he's got the Asian Cup coming up, but he's got the better fixture this weekend as opposed to Cole Palmer. So maybe the timing of him is better than getting the most transferred in target. However, he's on 4 yellow cards. Gordon I like. Bowen is a really good shout. Alexander-Arnold, he's back. And that's all I've got to say. I do apologise if you wanted more.
I don't. No, Chazza, that was perfect, mate. And I think highlighting one of the things which was about Chan, I'll just bring him up there. So, he's gone up to 5.7 now. He's got 10 points there, and, he did blank against Arsenal, but that was probably expected. And he's got a few points here and there, sort of almost like similar to a Bowen in a way. He's ticking over, but he's obviously a lot cheaper than Bowen. He is on yellow, was it 4 yellows, you said, Chazza? So, he gets 1 more and he's out for the next game. Let's just check what that game would be. He does have West Ham, actually. Yeah, so he plays West Ham.
Same with Chelsea. Same with Brentford.
Yeah. I mean, not too bad fixtures for Wolves, really. It's really difficult. If you want to go to Chan at the minute, it is really, really tempting. And one thing I will say, he plays a team who are really bad at the moment, and that is Nottingham Forest. So, it is tempting to go there. Any sort of comments or any opinions on the most bought, Ryan? Or
no, not more than what Chazza's added. I guess the first 3 are basically the price bracket that everyone's kind of targeting.
Yeah. I think if you haven't got Son, some of these guys are a bit of an enabler to kind of get to him, especially that Son plays Forest in 17, and then he does play Everton at home in the blank. But obviously, we've got to monitor Son and see what the situation is with him. Another topic that I want to kind of mention. Now, I think you put this one in, Chazza, so I'll let you talk about this mainly, but rotation conundrum. I found that quite interesting. Does Haaland get rotated this week against Luton?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one because I feel some of the stars that were expected to be rotated have been rotated by now. Starlade got bought off early, so you'd think he starts. But Haaland hasn't been bought off early once within his last 4 games in all competitions. Now, my hint is that because it's Luton away and City, well, in fact, I think I've qualified from their group stage of the Champions League, so he might actually play the 90 against Luton. But is there a chance of Pep either starting him on the bench, which sounds strange. I don't think he does. But what do you think of that possibility?
Me and Ryan are both shaking our heads going, no. I mean, oh, God. He's going to be the most picked captain this week, I think, without a doubt. Everyone's in a similar boat again then. If you own Salah and Haaland, or either or really. Last week it was probably Salah most captain. does that make you change your mind about captaincy then? If you're thinking he might get rotated, Luton have looked actually decent at home, but City do have Rodri back and potentially like Doku or Grealish. I just don't see it, but would it surprise me in FPL this season? No. Anything seems to happen. I just don't think at the minute with City qualified in the Champions League already, I think if he's going to get a rest, most likely it will be that week after when they play the midweek fixture where he could be given a rest or even like brought off early or just come on. Yeah, especially now that City have dropped points, I think it's he's more important than ever for them. That's how I see it. If they hadn't lost the Villa game, potentially then maybe with this Luton fixture. That's just my opinion on it. How about you, Ryan?
No, I don't think he's going to get dropped, especially after City have not won in the last 4 or something. Yeah, they're a wounded animal.
Last 4, yeah. They've drew, and lost.
Yeah, they're a wounded animal. I think the Haaland benching and all, I feel like that was more of a last season type problem. I feel like Pep showed that from last season that to play Haaland almost every game whenever possible. So I'm not worried. And again, Champions League, they don't have anything. It's a dead rubber game, so he could get his rest there.
Yeah. I mean, great point though, Chaz. I mean, something could happen that we don't expect. So it's always good to kind of touch upon it and bring it to everyone's attention. But yeah, be very surprised if he kind of doesn't start this weekend, Haaland. On to Mbeumo. Now I know we've covered this a little bit. I suppose the best way to look at it, we won't talk about this too much because it'll probably be mentioned when we talk and look at our team. Sorry, I should say next. So we will just go to Cash. I might be the only one who actually owns Matty Cash. You don't own him, do you, Chazza?
Not anymore.
Not Cash anymore. You got rid. You did the sensible thing, Ryan.
I did 2 frees, yeah.
I got rid.
You got rid as well.
Yeah.
So it's just me, basically, and that's we'll move on to that. We'll move on to that when we look at our teams again, really. So the other thing after last night's games was we've seen on Twitter and so on going around was Son potentially being injured. Now, I'm right in saying, I could be wrong here, you've got Son, Chazza?
I do.
You do have Son, okay. Now, me and Ryan don't have him, so suppose we were looking at potentially getting him. Is this someone for you that you might be looking at getting rid of this week, or you're going to hold him for now? What?
No, I'll hold him. And if you're considering of getting him this week, I wouldn't. The fixture's good, but at this time of year, any player who has a flag is an immediate put off for getting in.
Yeah. So you think it's worth basically not going from this week anyway, at least?
Yeah.
Holding off.
Give him a week. Yeah.
He's got 4 amazing fixtures in Forest, Everton, Brighton, and Bournemouth.
Yeah, he can wait till Forest. That's Friday night, week after, so it's okay.
So, but he is a hold for you for now, at least. You're not
hold for me only because I've got to get rid of Mbeumo and Mitchell and Areola. They want to set up their own life-saving flags in their own beach. That's why they've both got yellow flags. And Kabore can't play against his parent club. I didn't even know it was for Man City originally.
That is true.
Anyways, to the team very shortly. Don't worry.
Exactly. I think you just give us a slight clue there to something beginning with F and ending in S. It's not a swear word, by the way. But yeah, so on to Ryan and United assets. I kind of wanted to talk about that because you guys have been ticking over as such, and people probably wouldn't expect you to be where you are in the league table. You've gone and beat Chelsea 2-1. You play in Bournemouth next, which is a nice fixture at home. Any United asset?
Is it though? I don't know.
Is it though? Like, come on, it is. I mean, I know you said, like you said when you and Mira talked the other day on the pod that you're waiting for that thrashing, you're waiting for it. It's not coming yet though, Ryan. So while it's good, you know what I'm saying? So anything for Bournemouth or any like say for example, cash dilemmas for me or any other defenders for other people? Is there any defenders or any other players that you're thinking?
I defend. The thing is, I think Bournemouth score this week because they've improved their attacking form, and we've seen it in the last few games from Bournemouth.
Yeah.
If you really want a United defender, I know you mentioned Dalot before, but I don't know if I'll go there because there's always that potential rest or rotation with Wan-Bissaka. Maguire 4.3 is not a bad option, I'll be honest. Reguilon played really well. I'll add that. He did play really well. I can see him continuing to play there with Shaw in that centre-back spot, left centre-back spot. But it is, end of the day, another minute/rotation risk if Shaw does play left back. So Maguire might be the only option that is safe for minutes at the moment from United's defense. Even then, I probably still wouldn't go there for the moment because I look at the next couple of opponents. Apart from maybe Forest, until game week 22 at least, I think every other team could score.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, just looking at it right now. But if you want, from a attacking point of view, for people looking for enablers, Garnacho is not bad at 4.7, I think. So you know how people are looking. We saw Trent as one of the top most transferred in. If anyone wants to find a way to somehow fit Trent in then while having Haaland and Salah, you kind of have to go to these Garnacho type enablers potentially. He will continue to start. I think it's his spot to lose right now. I don't think Rashford has any chance of getting into the team. So I like Garnacho as an option, 4.7. And McTominay, I wouldn't go there because there's always the possible chance that he gets dropped depending on the fixture. So yeah, for me, Garnacho or Maguire probably.
Yeah. And one player that you didn't mention, and I don't know whether this is because of the tough fixtures coming up, like we can see there on the FDR that we've got Liverpool, West Ham, Villa, then a Tottenham in between a Wolves and Forest. But Bruno Fernandes missed his penalty. You give a penalty away recently to Rashford. He's not maybe getting the returns. I mean, he's a great FPL asset. I would never say he's a bad player to have and own in FPL. But you just think that right now he's just not someone.
No, he's still a good FPL asset. It's just that at the price range he's at, there are probably better players with better fixtures for the moment. Maybe it's a player you could go to when United's if United have a stretch of fixtures that improve. That's the only reason why I would probably look to him. He's a good FPL asset. Will tick along.
Ryan,
it's just that the fixtures.
Is that your team there?
No, that's not mine. That's
my one. Don't worry, Chaz. I'm just finding Bruno Fernandes on the site there just to look at his returns recently. 11 against Fulham. He got the goal at the end with the bonus, so that's the only reason he managed to get there. But other than that, it's not really great. And he is 8.3 as well, which is quite a bit. And considering that midfield spots are so precious at the minute, I would have to probably agree with you there, Ryan, that he's not someone I'd be looking to buy. But some defender options there if anyone wants to go to the likes of Harry Maguire. I don't mind that too much. It just always feels like going to Harry Maguire is just not an exciting pick in FPL. But 4.3 years. So if you want to go for him for this fixture and then you can rotate him moving forward, then that could be an option. So other than that,
in terms of 16 squad reveal.
Yeah, before that, I was going to say, was there any other points that anybody wanted to mention, or are we happy with game week 16? Any sort of,
I think if you're talking about the teams, you probably mentioned the others.
The teams?
Yeah, if you're going to look into our teams, then if there are any points that I'm missing, we could probably
of course we can cover those. Before we go on to that, there was one other thing I just wanted to mention, and that was, if I can manage to get it here. I always seem to struggle to see it. You'll know where it is, Chazza. EPL Live. There we go. So go ahead, Chazza. You know more about it.
Can I give it a plug? Absolutely. It's my time to shine here outside of Captain's Corner. If you guys have not downloaded this app already, get yourselves onto it, and I promise you it is free of charge. My articles after every game week is published on this app, where we talk about who's shined, who's in the spotlight, whoever wants to avoid, along with a captaincy conversation for a corresponding game week. There you have it. It is the governor. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Chazza. So going into our teams for this week. So I will have a look here, Chazza. We've got your team already, so I'll add that one. We'll go through yours,
Eureka.
we'll go through Ryan's, and then myself.
All right. Well, I'd love to do live transfers, but I don't think I can because there's about 12 press conferences on today. So if Ange says, sorry, Son's out for a month, that might change things. But the current thinking is, and Mbeumo out, Cole Palmer goes in, Haaland captain, you play a 3-5-2, Gabriel Taylor Simicast out the back, all 5 mids play because they are the governors. Archer first on bench and Watkins Haaland up front.
Wow. So that is it for this week, pretty much. No moves yet until we get more presses and except probably in Mbeumo, Mbeumo, right? Yeah,
Mbeumo Palmer.
Fair enough.
Thinking Hee-Chan, but Asia Cup.
You were thinking what? Sorry,
I'm thinking a Hee-Chan, or in fact a Wobie, but he's probably going to AFCON, so that rules both of them out. And Willian is 35, probably going to AFCON too. Rules himself out. Jimenez.
Brazilian. Willian, I think. Yeah.
Geez, that's the same mistake I made with Luis Diaz last year when I said, oh, yeah, he's Brazilian. No, he's Colombian.
Oh, God. Well, it's a similar mistake, but, probably not the same as the word to say.
No, it's like Muhammad Gandhi. Yeah. All right, next team.
Okay, right. Let me see if I think I should be able to. So let's remove this.
Please do.
And let me share. There we have it. Ryan's points. Actually, we didn't go through your points before, did we, Ryan? For the game. Is that right?
I just want to share this comment. William might go watch a game.
For God's sake, Chazza. Come on, do your research. I know geography is probably not your strong point, but yeah. Okay, let me know if you can. Can you see that, Ryan?
It's not up yet.
I will add it. That's why we've got Chazzers. Get rid of Chazzers.
There we go. Yeah. So I, for LOL, started Turner, just in case if Steve Cooper decides to change his mind, in the hopes that I don't have to play Areola against Spurs. But at the end of the day, I didn't even have a goalkeeper. So I had Gabriel. Lascelles came off the bench for Simicas, unfortunately. It was looking good until Trippier did what Trippier did. I had Trippier as well. Saka, Gordon, Bowen, my hero. Boomer, Salah, Watkins, and Haaland. And on the bench, I had Areola, Simicas, Toffolo, and Osula on my bench. I've made moves, including a -4. Didn't wait for any press conferences because, money is tight these days. Price changes were happening.
Yeah, team value is shocking these days,
Yeah.
unless you caught those little nuggets.
Yeah.
But I'll bring your team up in a sec. I'll actually do that. So 32 points for you this game week. Was that okay for you? Were you
a tiny red arrow that took me from about 630 or something to 690. Okay, so it's not too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah. Okay, and there's your team for this game week.
Yeah.
Make them,
so
Ryan?
a -4 that included Boomer out for Palmer before the price rise. So I caught that. I also, because of this is with the Newcastle game, Lascelles went off injured. So that kind of worried me. I don't know what the status of that is going to be. Maybe he'll be fine, but I did take him off, and also bought Dubravka on for Turner instead of Areola because you never know, right? Newcastle could go in the January window and buy a goalkeeper, and then I'll have to make another goalkeeper transfer. So I just did the safer move of like Turner to Dubravka, Lascelles to Branthwaite, because once I made these moves, because I was thinking of bringing Son for potentially Game Week 17, I was looking at like Bowen to Son as well, which meant I had only 4.1 to spend exactly, and Branthwaite is 4.1. So that's exactly the type of play I could go for. So I left money in the bank for Son, Bowen to Son. But I've gone for Branthwaite. Now, Everton, again, where we mentioned they're not too bad as a team. I've started him over Gabriel for the moment, just because I think Villa will score. And I kind of fancy Everton to either keep a clean or even a cheeky header against Chelsea's defense. You never know, because Chelsea are so bad defensively. I don't mind it. I don't know. Maybe I might change it back to Gabriel. Let's see how it goes. I got Dubravka because over Sanchez, because not confident about Chelsea's goalkeeping. Also wanted to keep money for Son. And interestingly, Dubravka was when they were keeping a clean sheet, there was like a tussle between him and Trippier and Shah and Lascelles for bonus points. And then at one point, Dubravka went to 3 bonus points, which is not normal when you have Trippier as well in that team. So I was like, okay, this is not too bad. So
yeah, he did actually look okay and made some good saves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've seen someone in one of my WhatsApp groups comparing to Neuer, a combination of Neuer and Buffon.
I wouldn't go that far.
That quite quickly changed in the second half, didn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, really sort of interesting moves that you've made. I think the one that I'm a little bit mostly surprised about is probably Branthwaite. And
yeah, because I couldn't go to anyone else. 4.1. That's basically it.
Yeah,
that was the main reason.
You brought in? Did you say you brought in Gabriel, or you already had it?
No, I had Gabriel before.
So I did Branthwaite and
Branthwaite, Dubravka, and
Palmer, right?
Yeah, for Boomer. Yeah,
for Boomer. Yeah, I don't mind those moves. I think obviously for this week, it's not ideal. Areola being injured. You've got Dubravka. You've kind of covered that because you had no playing keeper this game week with the 32 points that you got. Branthwaite has looked actually quite solid recently. He kept it clean last night. I think he got a goal the week before and a clean, so maybe it was like 9 points. And Palmer just is almost like a no-brainer at the minute. I think he is the best player, standout player for Chelsea. That goal that he scored against United shows that he is capable of not just being that penalty guy, which is really good. And he's still cheap enough. He is going up all the time, so I think he is going to end up being 6 million at some point.
I could just one more thing to add. I could still potentially, if we get news from Moyes that Areola is fine, potentially start Moyes over Dubravka, unless we get news from Ange that Son is out. Then I might actually start Dubravka, even if Areola is fine. But
yeah. And I think you probably don't. It's not ideal against Spurs, but I mean, you probably don't mind that, given that Dubravka will still rack up save points. I think that is clear based on last night. What the situation is on Newcastle's defence, I'll be very, very surprised if we see A, the same 11, but B, that we don't see, I'd say, 2, maybe even 3 injuries, because they've played so many games, so many minutes, that same team, that Newcastle team, and, Botman, whether he's back, we still don't know. What do you think, Chazza? What do you think of the moves that Ryan's made? Make sense?
Yeah, I love it. Get that Newcastle player out. Brumo's out. That's the main thing. A hit this time period. I feel you got to take the hit only if you feel it's really worth it. And if Ryan reckons it's worth it, then he's going to go out there and smash it.
Pretty positive then from Chazza, Ryan. He definitely approves.
People got to be positive at this time of year, because it seems like on Twitter land, everyone's T negative, and 99% of chances this game we got also Cole Palmer.
Yeah. And you know what? Even though I said I was surprised by the Branthwaite move, I meant that it probably sounded negative, Ryan, but I meant that in a good way, because of Everton being at home, last night's result, how he's looked recently with his 9-point return as well. So I was surprised in that sense that you've kind of gone for him, that, given that they've got Chelsea next, then that you're going for Palmer as well. But yeah, 4.1, I think it's a great move.
Yeah, I mean, if they could keep a clean sheet, because they kept a clean sheet against Newcastle. They could also lose the clean sheet and he could still get a header.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's almost bittersweet, because you want a Palmer return, but you want a Branthwaite clean sheet. So, it's quite difficult in that respect. But yeah, good moves. I mean, I think moving forward, you're trying to plan ahead, really. And the Bumo injury, although it's really frustrating and annoying, especially with that fixture that he had coming up against Sheffield, he has to then become a priority, doesn't he? So yeah, on to my team. Now, let's have a look. So I'll just remove that. I've just removed Ryan by mistake. Apologies about that, Ryan. And I'll bring my team up here and see what we've got. So let's just stop that one. Bring this one. I'm in a bit of a dilemma. Chazza, I mean, I know you spoke about your team briefly, but I've just been thinking about what we said before about flags and so on. We'll go back to your team in just a second, because I just want to quickly, I want to look at that. So this is me for this week. This is how I'm set up. I've got a couple of flags. I've got a Matty Cash issue. Areola, Leno, they both play each other, but I've got Jared Bowen. The team on paper, to me, doesn't look too bad. I mean, Saliba, I'm going to start. Tsimikas, hopefully, is back in the 11 after getting completely rested. So you'd imagine he'd start, especially after Gomez having a stinker as well. And then, Salah, Bowen, Palmer, Saka. For me, I'm going to keep Watkins, even though I might free hit an 18 still. And I think for me, it's probably going to be Cash and Mbeumo out. I haven't decided yet. I am going to, Chazza approves of that, so I like that. But I haven't decided yet on who I want to bring in. If I bring in Hwang, he's got the Asia Games. He's on 4 yellows. That feels like the one I want to go for. I don't want, I've already got Palmer. I don't want Gordon. And there was one other player, I think, as well.
Why don't you want Gordon?
Well, I've got a funny relationship or funny story about Gordon. Now, I brought him in for the Bournemouth game. He blanked. I think we had a break then after that. At that point, it might have been the international, and I took him out. I took him out and brought Salah and Palmer in, and then Anthony Gordon got 13 points, obviously, and then he got 10 points. So I cannot do that. I can't bring him in, take him out, and then bring him back in again. It just doesn't make sense to me.
He does the hokey pokey and it turns around. And
exactly
that's what Gordon's about. Da-da.
Yeah. So he is an option. I can't say he's not. Can't rule it out. But I just don't feel like I want to go there. Especially the fact that Newcastle are away. They're awful away. He still does run a lot, Gordon, don't get me wrong, but they're playing Spurs away. It just doesn't feel right to get him. However, when you look at Newcastle's fixtures from 17, 18, and so on, they are great. So I might end up making that move and just, think sensibly for once, rather than bringing him in, taking him out, and that's it, And the cash situation for me is I've got Gehi. Kabore doesn't feature anyway because it's City's parent club. Gehi plays against us. So I have got to look at the options for cash. And at the moment, I am really torn on who to go for. Is it a Pedro Porro? Is it a Reece James? Is it a cheaper defender like you've gone for, Ryan, and Branthwaite and so on? So, yeah, moves aren't made yet, but that's kind of where I'm landing at the minute with the team so far for this game week. Yeah, I just want to go to your thing, Chazza, your team. Back to that in a sec. Let's have a look. Let's find your team. So there we are. There you are. At the top, of course. At the top. No, actually, tell you what. So I don't need to do that. I can remove that and I can add this. That's your team for this week, right? So if you scroll down a little bit.
Why? Oh, jeez, I didn't even know I was still on the tab.
You are. It's a good job. You are, yeah. So go on, pick team. So we should show your actual team for the week. Because you just showed us in the transfer mode, didn't you? Now, what do you think, Ryan? I mean,
so Boomer has got to go.
You've got one free, right, Chazza?
Oh. Okay, so Boomer got to go for this week. That's it. And play 3 for 2.
Okay, so it's just Boomo and then play the rest? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, if Son is fit, you play the rest. There's no reason for him to take... Oh, you have Taylor there. I just realized.
Who?
He has Taylor in defense for Brighton. Yeah, that's most likely.
It's getting more and more, isn't it?
Yeah. So who do you plan on taking Boomer out for, Chazza?
Palmer.
Is it Palmer?
Yeah. Okay. So he knows the Boomer move, right? Which is opposite to mine because I already have Palmer. So Chazza knows that one at least. But then, is it worth him taking a -4? Do you think he just goes with it this week?
Do I go Mitchell to Alexander-Arnold because I can't afford him?
Oh wow! What? Wait, you've got no. I'm not buying that. You've got Haaland, Watkins, Salah, Son.
He doesn't have Saka. That's why.
How much have you got?
Yeah, he doesn't have Saka. So he's got 3 cheap midfielders, kind of.
Yeah, so if I go... Sorry, guys. Welcome to my Welcome to my world. Welcome to my workshop. Here we go. Transfer time in game week 16.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow.
I don't mind that. Not gonna lie. Would you go Trent or would you go Trippier? The only problem with Trippier is the 4 yellow cards.
Trippier's blanked 4 in the last 6. I'm going to
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Could do that. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I know you don't mind it, but can I tell you this? I'm not going to do it because can I tell you why? I'm not taking a hit all season, and it's going to stay that way. So I'm just going to do a 1 free transfer.
Yeah, then
That
fine.
is me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm really, really surprised how much money you've got in the bank. Even I know you've got Matoma and Gordon, and you've got Taylor, who's cheap, Simicast. I'm just still so surprised how much money you have when you get rid of Boomo and
you must have really good squad value.
the team value. Yeah, squad value must be.
Let's have a look. You want to have a look?
Yeah, why not?
Let's see.
Go flex your squad value.
It's 102.2, so it's not top tier.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
so I guess it's just that no Saka, so you don't have that 8 million priced.
No Bowen. Yeah.
No Bowen.
So it's no Saka, no Bowen. And
No
then
worries.
just the Salah. No worries. Wow. Okay. So yeah, we've looked at the teams.
All right. Can we get to captain's place? It's been 90 minutes.
One thing I was going to move on to was Captain Corner. Exactly. That's your time to shine now, Chazza. So yeah, bud, take it away.
Look, thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. Can you just get the Oh, beautiful. You've done it already. You are the absolute governor. All right. Captain's Corner. Welcome to Game Week 16. Yes, I'm back for the first time in a couple of game weeks. Now, I don't have a little song, but I could give you plenty of tips. Well, I could do my very best. Now, that's based on the statistics I have found. So we're going to start off with a 23-year-old Norwegian away at Luton, Erling Haaland. Now, firstly, let's talk about his track record against promoted sides. And he's had 8 Premier League meetings against promoted teams since he's come into the Premier League. And that has consisted of 9 goals and an assist. And this will be his 9th meeting against a promoted side. And this time in Luton on Sunday at Kenilworth Road. Luton have conceded 12 goals at home, which isn't that bad, but have conceded a third of them on Tuesday night against Arsenal. And as I said, is it a chance for Haaland to be benched? We shall see, because he's played his last 4 games, 90 minutes straight. We go to Mohamed Salah, who is away at Selhurst Park. In fact, it's a ground in that he plays pretty well at. In his 3 appearances he's made there, he's managed to score 3 goals, along with chime in with 2 assists. And never forget that early kickoff 3 years ago where Liverpool won 7-0 at that ground. In front of no one, who would have thought, because someone ate it back. He came on as a substitute in just 17 minutes of playing time, scored 2 goals and an assist. But let's talk about his teammate, if you don't mind me. On the same side, red side of Merseyside. Let's talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold, who has scored 47 points in the last 6 game weeks, which is second amongst all players in the game. And it's only 2 points behind Erling Haaland. Alexander-Arnold's 7 chances created against the Blades was 5 more than any other player on the ground. Jared Bowen is your great Maverick pick, and I'm sure Ryan may mention this. I'm sure Reedy may mention this. He has scored in 7 consecutive away games, and if he scores against Fulham on Sunday, it'll make it number 8. Last season, he assisted Harrison Reed's own goal, in which it proved enough for Hammers to win 1-0 at Craven Cottage. Now, that is it for the Game Week 16 edition. May your captains get a return, but may your arrows, more importantly, be green. Thank you very much.
Well, there we go, Ryan. A selection of captains there. I mean, I think it's fair to say we're probably all still going to go Captain Haaland, but Jared Bowen, not a bad option at all, I don't think, given his record and his stats. And I know Fulham have just smashed Forest 5-0, but it is a much tougher fixture against West Ham, who will be thriving after beating Spurs away last night. But yeah, any other picks do you think, Ryan, that Chaza mentioned?
Nah, I'm kind of covered, basically, the way
Trent?
he's gone.
Trent, maybe?
But then when you have Salah, probably wouldn't really go Trent.
That's true. That is true. If you've got Trent, I mean, I know somebody who did actually captain Trent because they didn't have Salah. Now, that makes sense, of course. If you don't have Salah and you've got Haaland against Villa, maybe you would go Trent. But, oh, God, I mean, I'm glad Charlie's not taking a hit because his team with Trent in it would be absolutely unbelievable, I think. But yeah, that's Captain's Corner.
Maybe I do. I'm
Maybe
just playing
you sneaky
little
mustache man.
I'm not taking a hit, so I reckon I'll just roll what I got.
Yeah, fair dues. But yeah, so that's it for today. I'll wrap up. Basically, thank you so much to everyone that's tuned in today.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, appreciate it to the podcast. Hit like and subscribe, making sure that you turn notifications on. Or if you listen to the podcast, please do give us a follow and leave some feedback if you want. But brings us to the end of the preview show for Game Week 16. Not far through halfway of the season, a few more game weeks. Thank you to Ryan. Thanks, bud, for coming on. Appreciated it. And we'll be back for the review and, of course, preview of Game Week 16 and 17. Keep an eye out on the FPL Addicts socials. And, may your arrows be green. And one final message, which is eat shit, Jack.
Eat shit, Jack.